Hey everybody, welcome to College Football Predictions, Week 11, 2023. And um, if I'm thinking about this correctly, we have 2 more weeks, and then college football season is over. I mean, hard to believe. It just flies by. I mean, I say that every year, but I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy. But the good thing is that we have, you know, bowl season coming up. We have conference championships coming up in December and the very beginning of January. So it's not completely over, but the season and me doing my weekly updates is coming to an end. Last week we went 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. We tied on the Ole Miss game. Yeah, if they would have scored that touchdown at the very end, we would have had another 3-3 week. Let's go ahead and get into Week 10 notes. LSU, that hit on Jaden Daniels. It's the talk of the week. Should that guy be suspended? He's always been a dirty player. My thing is what I view from that, because I've been getting a lot of questions about it. I think he should have been ejected from the game. I think it should have been targeting. And the whole reason why is in 2018, LSU had a linebacker. He plays for Tampa Bay now. His name is Devin White. He was a running back, and when they went into LSU and they needed linebackers, so Devin White converted over to linebacker. It's the reason why he's so freaking fast in the NFL. But he did the exact same hit, and it wasn't even as vicious as what the hit was on Jaden Daniels, and they gave him a targeting call, suspended him, and it was the game before. I think they played Florida at the time, and it was the game before Alabama, so he had to sit out the first half of the Alabama game, and that was a huge game for everybody, for LSU, and it just seems like, I don't know, the officials and everything else, and I'm not trying to say, that it was the officials' fault for losing the game, but it just seems like they tend to favor Alabama a little bit more in those games for whatever reason. Anyway, so Florida State lost at the last second. Yeah, I know. They didn't lose the game, but they had a chance to score, and it was, I just don't know Florida State. I mean, they just struggled, last Saturday, and they had a chance to go ahead and get that drive. It was like, what was it, on the 2-yard line with 30 seconds left, and the only thing they had to do was just run it in, and instead they just take a knee and call it a day. It's so aggravating to lose by half a point sometimes. Alabama is rolling. Yeah, it's so funny to see people when they lose to Texas. Everybody it's just like that Dr. Pepper commercial. The season's ruined. It's all over. I don't know what to do. I believe the pregame, hype, and I believe the preseason hype and all this. And then they lose to Texas, and then everybody's like, oh, the dynasty's over. The dynasty's over. Nick Saban needs to retire. It's so funny. Oh, my goodness. But looks like they're heading off to play Georgia. Speaking of, this week, Georgia's playing Ole Miss. That's going to be a really good game. I didn't cover that one on the board, so I'll mention it to you now. Check out that game. That's going to be a really interesting game with the Lane Train playing Ole Miss. And Alabama, they're going to play Georgia, and then it'll be interesting to see where Alabama lands. I'm really looking forward to that game against Georgia and Bama. I think Georgia is going to go into the CFP playoffs and go from there. That's who I like there. Michigan and Ohio State. Man, that's going to be a really good game when that one's coming up. And I like Oregon, and Florida State hasn't had a trip up yet, but I imagine it's going to be coming. But Florida State has done enough to survive and keep themselves as number 4. But Washington and Oregon are right there, and it's going to be an interesting how the playoffs turn out. But the main thing is those New Year's Six games are looking like they're going to be really good games this year. So really looking forward to these bowl games coming up. That's right. It was my first losing week since September, and it was like I know the first week was my losing week, and I don't know if there was any other week besides my first week that I had a losing record. So I'm doing quite well. Right now we are 30 wins, 26 losses, and 1 tie. So try to finish up these next 2 weeks pretty closely. Or actually be the next 3 weeks because I have 2 more weeks after this. All right, so let's dive into it. So let's cover Bama is at Kentucky. They're calling this a trap game for Bama. They're saying that Kentucky might, get caught up and might have an upset alert here. Anything to hype up, but I don't see Alabama losing at this. They're minus 10.5. I think if Melrose plays the way he played against LSU and he just keeps on running as a quarterback option, I think they have no problem. And the main thing is what I noticed with Alabama is that as long as they can not kill themselves in the first half, the second half they just get rolling. I mean, they make some really good halftime adjustments. And the game against LSU, they were minus 3. And this is only minus 10.5, and they won against LSU minus 14, or the score was a 14 point differential. For this, I think it's going to be the same. I think, minus 10.5 is pretty good, or you can even just take the money. The money line was pretty favorable also. I think it was only minus 600, minus 700. So even if you're not quite sure about this game, just take the money line and know that Alabama should win this game. If not, there's be quite a big shock to everybody in this. But for me, it's an 11 a.m. game. I'm going to go ahead and take Alabama minus 10.5. But look for Alabama just to keep on rolling, and I like that minus 10.5. I think they're going to probably win this by 13 or 14 points. Is going to be the difference between Kentucky and Alabama. Next up is Florida State versus Miami. This is one of the games I was looking forward to. At the beginning of the year after the LSU game, I was looking forward to the Clemson game, and I was looking forward to the Miami game because I think Miami can stack up pretty well against Florida State. Now, if you remember, Miami beat Texas A&M pretty good at the beginning of the season. So this is going to be a closer game than you think. Florida State is minus 14.5. And I sat there and I thought about it. I thought about taking Florida State minus 14.5. Now I thought about taking Miami plus 14.5. And then this game, you can fade if you want to, but I kind of like Florida State in this, because they're playing at home. This is going to be a rival game, another good Florida in-state game. Florida State's got, this game coming up, and then they have Florida coming up too. So, but look for Florida State to win this, but it's going to be very close. This game is going to come down to pretty much who has the ball last, kind of like the Clemson game when Florida State played Clemson. So look for a very close game. Florida State's banged up. Hopefully they're getting their wide receivers back. Their quarterback is okay. But I do like Florida State. So, and we're just going to go back to what was working for us. So let's go ahead and take Florida State money line. Make it super simple. Try not to do the points. Try not to get fancy. We were winning with the money line, so let's take Florida State money line. All right, so we got Florida State money line all locked in. That's a 2:30 p.m. game. Okay, I almost said 9:30 p.m. I was like, holy cow, they're both on the East Coast, So, all right, going to the West Coast, 9:30 p.m. USC at Oregon. Now, I don't know if you guys saw that game USC. I think they played Washington last week. I can't remember. My head's all scrambled up. It's super early in the morning. I made this video first thing when I woke up. But at the end, when you saw Caleb Williams, hugging his mom and he was with his family, and he just broke down because he knew losing that game that USC was going to be a 3-loss team, and any chances of a Heisman or a repeat Heisman was officially over. And it was just it's a touching moment, to see how these competitors, they just play with all their heart and emotion and know what was on stake, in the line of victory is so razor thin that any mistakes is so magnified on the field for college. And I got to hand it to USC and Caleb Williams. I mean, he did everything he could to win that game, to be competitive, to do what needed to happen. It's very hard. There's only been, 4 or 5 Heisman Trophy winners that have back-to-back, repeat Heisman, successful Heisman people who've able to do it, in repeat years. And just to give you an idea how hard it is, when you're playing college football on PlayStation or Xbox or whatever else, and you're the Heisman winner for that year, you try to win it again for the next year, and it's even hard on video games. So, just imagine what it's like in real life. But, it was really good, to see, that it's okay to break down, and it's okay to let your emotions out every so often about football, because it is a very passionate sport, and these people they grow up and they have so much passion for the game, and they want to be competitive, and they want to win. The drive to win, the drive to succeed, the drive to be a better person is amazing. But with that being said, USC is facing Oregon, and unfortunately they're into the meat of their hardest part of their season. Oregon is trending. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been watching Oregon the last couple weeks. Bo Nix looks like a very good candidate for the Heisman. I know that what's his name from Washington as the quarterback has a good chance too, and Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver for Ohio State, is looking really good as well. But Bo Nix, to give you a quick backstory about Bo Nix, I was betting on Bo Nix. I bet on him when it was one of my first picks when I started doing sports betting for my channel, I believe, or even no, before my channel was even started. I bet on his first game, and he was Auburn, and he was a freshman, and he played against Oregon, and he won that game in the last second. I think it was in the Dallas game kickoff for the 2018 season, or it might have been the 2019 season. So it was 2018. No, it was the 2019 season, and it was my first weekly bet for this channel. So Bo Nix has been with me for a long time. Going to miss that dude. He was with Auburn, now he's with Oregon, and man, I hope all the success follows him. With that being said, who do I like in this game? And guys, it's going to be a really close game. This is not going to be easy for USC. They play at 9:30 p.m. tonight. Oregon is minus 21. That's how much they're favoring Oregon in this game. I think it's a little too much. You can probably take USC plus 21, but I think USC is not going to survive this game either. They're facing a very physical team. They're already pretty beaten up from their last game. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make it simple. We're going to go ahead and take Oregon money line. And I know what you guys are saying. Man, you're taking another money line? Guys, I mean, if you look at the odds, of them winning this game, it's pretty favorable for a money line. I think they're only minus 400. So it's very favorable to take the money line for that game. All right, next up is Michigan State at Ohio State. Ohio State's minus 31.5 in this game. This is going to be a really interesting game because Ohio State just got finished playing Rutgers, and it was a close game in the first half. It wasn't until the second half that Ohio State woke up and started playing a really good game. But Rutgers always plays Ohio State pretty rough. Um, this is just going to be a road grind. There's really nothing to even really break down. Look for Marvin Harrison to have a Heisman day to really put a stamp on the reason why a wide receiver should have be discussed as a possible Heisman candidate. Look for Ohio State to cover this minus 31.5. I'm not going to go too much into details about this, but hopefully they don't look too far ahead from Michigan State. But look for Ohio State to cover this. It's going to be pretty close because Michigan State's going to get some points in garbage time. But let's go ahead and, for time's sake, let's go ahead and just take Ohio State minus 31.5. Really not a lot to break down. It's 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And let's talk about the next game. All right. Next up is LSU versus Florida. LSU's minus 14. They're playing at home at Death Valley. At 6:30 p.m. This game has always been. There's so many interesting stories about LSU and Florida. The games have always been so close. They had the game. What was it? In 2019 or no, in 2020, I think it was. Yeah, in 2020, COVID year, I think it was, where the guy threw the shoe. The Florida player threw the shoe. Florida was going to win that game, and it was a fourth down play, and they fell short the line to gain. LSU did, and the game was over. LSU lost that game. It was like in 2020, or it was in one year. I can't remember. It was recently, and you guys can tell me. And the tight end lost his shoe. Well, instead of leaving the shoe on the field, the Florida cornerback picked up the shoe, or the safety, whatever he was, the defensive player, picked it up and threw it halfway down the field. So what did that result? A flag. And it was unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike character is what it was. Unsportsmanlike character. And then the LSU gets a first down, 15 yards, and brings them back to life, holds them at like the 30-yard line because they were on their own like 30 or 40-yard line. The game was over. And gets them down to the Florida 30 or 40-yard line. It's so foggy that the kicker, who's a really good kicker, I don't know where he's at in the NFL. I think he even got drafted in the third or fourth round. That's how good he was. Kicked the field goal with super fog in the stadium. You couldn't even see the uprights, but barely. He literally kicked it blindfolded, and it was at night, and the stadium lights were on, so it only intensified the fog. And he still made the game-winning kick. So, I mean, there's so many interesting stories about LSU and Florida, and this is going to be a really close game. They always are. They're always close. Billy Napier, the head coach for Florida, played at Louisiana Cajun Louisiana Lafayette is where they're at, which is not far from Baton Rouge. So he's never probably liked LSU to begin with when he was in Louisiana. So there's just all sorts of, stories and backstories of this game. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this game turns out. There's also talks that Jaden Daniels is not probably going to be in this game. A lot of rumors. That's the reason why I was kind of surprised when I saw minus 14 for this. Because he's still in concussion protocol from the Alabama game from that hit. Looks like Garrett Nussmeier might be the go. He's been working with first string all week. This thing is at 6:30 p.m. So let's just be on the safe side. I think LSU is going to win this game. So let's just go ahead and take the money line for this one also. It's just going to be one of those weeks where, no sevens is just going to make it easy and take money lines, I guess. All right, so we got that locked in. All right, our last game, Michigan at Penn State. So, real quick, I wanted to tell you guys, the LSU game, there's talks that in the bowl game, that if LSU wins out, and Notre Dame wins out, that LSU and Notre Dame might be playing each other in a bowl game. And now, how crazy would that be? You know, the Brian Kelly Bowl game is what it would probably be called. That'd be so interesting. So, all right, Michigan at Penn State. The latest investigation reports show that Jim Harbaugh had no prior knowledge of of the sign stealing. Oh my God! I mean, it's come on, people. He knew exactly what was going on. No, I mean it's just whatever, man. I'm not even getting into it anymore. I just look at it and I just start laughing at the reports, and everybody knew what was going on that sideline. You can't tell me that nobody knew. I mean, I bet you even the cheerleaders and everybody else, the water boy, probably even knew what was going on with the sign stealing. Anyway, the game's at 11 a.m. It's at Penn State. This game's going to be a really close game. They're finally playing somebody. You know, Michigan is finally playing somebody. It's minus 4.5. I'm looking forward to seeing this game at 11 a.m. I'm way over on my time, so I'm just going to hurry up and make a pick. Let's just go ahead and take Michigan minus 4.5. I think they're going to keep on winning, and I think they're going to win in a pretty dominant fashion in this game. Not by a lot of points, but you're going to see the physical play come out, and they got to get ready for Ohio State. So look for them to hurry up and put this game away pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and take Michigan minus 4.5. Okay, so we got it locked in. Michigan minus 4.5. Quick recap. We got Bama minus 10.5, Florida State money line, Oregon money line, Ohio State minus 31.5, LSU money line, and Michigan minus 4.5. I don't think it's been a while since I've done this many money lines, but hey, look, you know, on my sports book, they were still giving me really good odds for the money line, so why not take them? You know, that's the way I look at it. All right, so our parlay for the money is Michigan minus 4.5, Bama money line. There you go. Clemson money line. I know they're on the blacklist, but I do like Clemson in this game. But I would not bet on them. I know I added them to the parlay. Florida State money line, LSU money line, and Oregon money line. That's a pretty good thing. I think if you like throw, what was it? I was looking at $10. I think pays out $43, $44, and $20 pays out almost close to 90. So yeah, it looks really favorable for that parlay. That's the reason why I kind of put it as an easy money bet, as long as all those teams win. And if they do win, then those sevens will have all this covered. But guys, I think I took up enough of your time. Hopefully you guys are having success with all your picks. I do appreciate all the comments on who do you like and everything else. And good luck for this week. And guys, we're getting closer to Thanksgiving and Black Friday sales and football for that week. So hopefully everything's going well. And don't forget, you know, Veterans Day is coming up. Very important day. So just remember all the people, you know, who served in the armed forces. So with that being said, no sevens. We'll see you for week 12, and good luck, guys.